Good morning and welcome to Sheepdog Preparedness once again. You got Kenny back with you. Wanted to do a quick video this morning on something that is kind of timely just because of what I've noticed lately in a lot of the YouTube videos that have been coming out, especially in the medical area, especially since the Las Vegas incident happened. It seems like there's this resurgence of tourniquet usage, or at least buying of tourniquets. People just going after them like it's it's the item of the day anymore. It seems like everybody wants tourniquets. Everybody's doing videos on tourniquets. Everybody's saying if you don't have a tourniquet in your medical kit's not worth a crap. Now, I'm here to tell you folks that my experience in the medical field would beg to differ with that. And so I want to make sure that if you do decide to get one, you understand that there's some care that has to be taken before you use it and the decision to use it. To give you a little bit of a background here before I just dive into this, I'm not just out here cranking out YouTube videos because I love disaster preparedness and survival and prepping. If you haven't watched my introductory video, or if you haven't read the about page on this channel, just give you a quick little background on where I've been in this world. Over 20 years experience in the public safety field as a police officer, firefighter, EMT. I worked in the emergency room as an EMT. I taught first responder training in police academy, so there's a ton of police officers out there running around that had their 40-hour first responder training from me. I have been myself on thousands of medical calls. Everything from traffic accidents to farm machinery incidents to ATV wrecks to fires to you name it, and have laid hands on thousands of hurting individuals. You want to know how many times I've seen a tourniquet used by another medical provider? 0. You want to know how many times I've put one on someone? 0. So I'm just wanting to wake you up a little bit here, folks, and make sure that you realize that a tourniquet is not the first choice for stopping bleeding on something. Just because you got a ton of YouTube yahoos out here telling you, go out and get your tourniquets and make sure you're carrying one with you every day. You may have a use for one sometime. Yes, I'm not going to deny that. I'm not saying don't buy one. But I'm also telling you that before you use it, you better know what the heck you're doing. And you better realize that it's not the first choice for many types of bleeding. In the medical field, the very first thing that we're taught is, and the thing that I impart on to the students is ABCs, airway, breathing, circulation. You're not going to have a viable patient if you don't have a good airway, so you start there first. It's not going to do me any good to slap a tourniquet on this guy if he doesn't have a valid airway. He's not going to be able to breathe. So you got to cover that first. Don't forget that. You got to make sure they are breathing. And then you move on to the circulatory stuff and look for bleeding and address that. When you do find bleeding, a tourniquet is way down the list, folks. Direct pressure is always first, and that's always the preferred method. Even if you have to do it on yourself, you do it. You put pressure. If the bleed is on the lower part of the leg, you try to, if you can, put pressure on the femoral artery. If it's in a certain part of the arm, you may apply pressure on a brachial artery. You've got to apply pressure in the right spot between the injury and the heart. Do that first. Elevate it if you can elevate it. If it's in the hand, raise it above the heart. It's harder for the heart to pump uphill. So if you've got pressure on it and you're holding it above the heart, usually that'll take care of it. Clotting will take place. You're in good shape. Next step beyond that would be like a pressure dressing, pressure bandage. You would put something on it like maybe some quick clot or whatever, some type of bandage first. Hold direct pressure, get it to stop. And when you find out the bleeding has quit, you wrap a tight dressing around it. It keeps pressure on it, but it's still not a tourniquet. And then the final step would be a tourniquet, and only in the right circumstances. And I'm going to post a link down below to just one of hundreds of articles you can find out there from reputable sources, reliable, proven medical sources who will tell you that you need to watch it before you're applying a tourniquet. You can do severe nerve damage. You can cause a limb to have to be amputated because you've used a tourniquet, a limb that otherwise would have been a viable limb. So amputations are, one of the first things that I hear people, what if somebody loses a limb? The good Lord designed your body. He knew what he was doing. And most of the time, if you lose a limb, or let's say you get your hand cut off at the wrist in some kind of freak accident, your body is designed by the man upstairs so that immediately swelling starts to take place in every vessel in that area. And what happens when it swells? It squeezes and it puts pressure on its own. And most of the time, the bleeding will stop. You usually do not have to put a tourniquet on an amputated limb because the body has built-in protections because of its divine design. So, know how to use it if you're going to put one in your kit. And you do need to put one in there. I'm not going to say don't buy one. I'm just saying, folks, don't be thinking this is the cure-all, be-all, end-all thing like a lot of these YouTube idiots are telling you. I don't carry one in my daily IFAC because I've got thousands of other things that are on me. Well, not thousands, but I've got tons of options for a makeshift tourniquet. I've always got paracord on me. I've always got tape on me. I've always got several other things that can be used as a tourniquet should the need arise, which from my experience in 25 years of going on thousands of medical calls is slim to none. So you can put one in your kit. I do recommend that. Just make sure that you're doing the research, you're knowledgeable on when to use it and how to use it. I just want to make sure to pass that information on just because I think it's important with all these videos that are suddenly popping up with just people freaking out over tourniquets. So knowledge is power, folks. Make sure you know what to do with the tools that you have. Yes, you should carry a gun, but you should also have training in how to use that firearm. You should know what you're doing with it. So same thing with that tourniquet. If you're going to get it, make sure you know when to use it and how to use it. We'll see you on the next video. Take care, folks. A lot of things going on. Watch this Saudi Arabia incident heating up between them and Iran. And that could snowball into something real fast. If that blows up and something happens with Saudi Arabia, you watch gas prices go through the roof overnight, instantaneously. And that could be potentially the first domino and cause all sorts of havoc. So keep your eye on what's happening around the world, folks. Keep plugging at it. Get your stuff gathered up because you're going to need it soon. Are you ready?